The real rivalry, Imad. Welcome back to the channel. Most recently, Arsenal had a cracking game against West Ham, ended 3-3. What do you make of it?
I was just telling you before we spoke. It was like watching Wenger's Arsenal all over again. Like terrible defending. Like that first half, the first 30 minutes, 3-0 down. It was like getting shades of like when we played Bournemouth and we were 3-0 down and we got slapped up by Palace. Just awful defending. Um, in terms of like individual mistakes, collectively as a group, shocking. But then, yeah, I mean, like immense potency going forward when it mattered. Like in the second half, like we really like drove
Um,
forward and like really really pushed to try and get something out of that game. Heads didn't drop. So, I mean, like I said, I mean that last game was like summing up Wenger's Arsenal in a nutshell. Like really entertaining to watch with a neutral, but as an Arsenal fan, I mean, you've got like elements of like heartbreak in there and like absolute disgraceful defending like in
Defending,
there,
yeah.
and but like at the same time quality attacking football. But I mean, you need to have both. I mean, you can't have both. Obviously, like to be a world class team, you need to cut the mistakes out at the back, and you need to have that
Have
that
that
quality
potency,
going
man.
forward. So that just shows the difference right now between us and the top teams, I guess.
In the first half though, like I watched that game and like you guys just weren't at the races. It's like you didn't show up after that. It's just like it was poor defending, right? And just the team didn't show up. I think West Ham away is a tough game, especially given the season that they've had. And like the players just weren't at it. That's what it was. So many
So
mistakes,
the
poor
last two
passing.
weeks, the last 2 weeks have summed up Arsenal's season in a nutshell. I mean, an amazing 3-1 win away to Olympiacos, battered them like a
Hmm.
confident like performance, really sealing that first, like sealing the tie
Oh
after that
yeah.
first leg. Coming back from a goal down to beat like a team that had already parked the bus before they went a goal down, before they had
Hmm.
gone a goal up. Sorry. So like I mean, scoring two against a Jose team when they're when they're setting out just to defend. I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
beating
That was a good
Spurs,
performance.
that was huge for us. And so that was two really big results. And then you're looking at the team and to kind of say, come on, now let's like solidify that and build on that. And then we go and lose. Uh, I mean, irrelevant in like
One
the
nil
grand
at
scheme
home
of
to
things,
Olympiacos. But I think the players probably
but
just
just not
thought
good
that,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah, but just not good enough. And I mean, the team was good enough, and it
Hmm.
just wasn't. It was a pathetic performance. And on another day, it could have become really, really nervy at the end, man. Like they could have
Hmm.
easily scored a second, and then one goal was all it would have taken. I mean, it was just reminiscent of Olympiacos at home last year, so that wasn't good. And then you're expecting some kind of a reaction from the team after losing 1-0 to Olympiacos, and they come out and they perform like that for the first 30 minutes. I mean, the first goal was the only goal. I mean, the only goal, like the Jesse
This sounds
Lingard goal. I mean,
quality,
okay,
yeah.
fine. I can
Jay
put my hands up and
Lings.
say, okay, we couldn't do anything. I mean, fuck that guy. Like the minute
he
I
just
saw him score, I
he
was
just
like,
does well against Arsenal, man. He just
yeah, man.
someone
I
that
mean, after he
scores.
came and fucking danced at the Emirates, I mean, I just did not want to see his face and doing the goddamn jailings bullshit. Like, oh my god,
And what
man,
a
fuck
goal.
that side pissed me off. Yeah, it was a
I'm
quality strike,
sure.
but
What a strike, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, he's back at the England team. Pisses me off to see him doing so well because we all know he's a player of very very low ability.
He's not the
So
best. I never really, as a United fan, also, I mean, great guy and all that, but not a top player. No, by no
yeah.
means.
So yeah, so then I mean the second goal, oh my god, that was just schoolboy stuff, man. From that free kick,
My
like
God,
there's
what?
six Arsenal players
Like they
standing
don't look
around the
like
ball.
professional players there. Like what's
Yeah,
Tierney?
pick up the ball, stand over the ball, do anything to
Oh
prevent the
my
free kick from being
God.
taken early. I mean, like surely like teams like gonna try and take free kicks early. I mean, you got to
Right.
wait for the
They've
referee to,
just
even if the
completely
referee
switched
is
off. The
you
entire
wait,
wall
yeah,
is
you
switched
pick.
off.
I mean, I'm sorry, like you have to pick the ball up in your hand and like hold on to the ball until your team is back into position,
Right.
or you stand on top of the ball and you do not let them take a quick free kick, like literally a minute after you've conceded. So,
And
at
what's the
that point,
goalkeeper
like,
doing? What's the goalkeeper? We have
yeah,
to
I
talk
completely
about
forgot
what
about
is he
that,
what
man.
is he
Yeah,
doing? Near post? Like I
shocking.
would have
And
saved that. What is he
I mean,
doing,
and
dude?
honestly, like I feel like we have come on here, and I have been critical of Leno in the past. I mean, he's a great shot stopper, but like that's his job. Like he needs to be like more complete. And his like I have been a bit like skeptical about him with his like he doesn't really control his box too well from corners. And I mean, honestly, like that decision to let Emi Martinez leave, I mean, I think
Right.
that
I
was a
was just
big
gonna say
mistake,
that. I
a
think your
big
better
big
keeper
mistake.
your better keepers at Villa, he just doesn't. He's way more consistent. Like Leno does make big saves, and he's a good goalkeeper, but he's got
All
mistakes in
keepers
him.
make big saves. That's
Right,
why they're fucking goalkeepers. I mean,
goalkeepers. Like he's
like
got
Roy Keane
mistakes in
says
him now.
that's their job. I mean, to make saves is their job, and to make good saves is their job. Like being a good keeper is because the complete package. You know, have to know how to command your area. Nowadays, you have to know how to play with the ball at your feet. You know
Right.
how you got to know how to sweep the ball up. And I honestly, like, I mean, I do like Leno because I think he has saved us in a lot of games. But I mean, he is always prone to that mistake. And at Arsenal, you just can't have players who are prone to that mistake because you just have so many in the mix.
Right,
Um,
right. No, hundred
Third
percent.
goal
Like,
again, shocking. Third goal again. I mean, switched off completely
right.
defensively. And at that point, like the floodgates were open. I mean, I thought we were going to be like losing that game 4-5, 4-5 nil or something. I did not see us
Hmm.
coming back. But then second half, I mean,
I think
obviously, like we
Arteta. So
stepped it up.
let's talk about Arteta for a second. Though he obviously like really got into the players at halftime. I'm sure because they're like
I
he
mean,
was like a
before
Jekyll and Hyde.
halftime, I think
Yeah,
before halftime, I think we scored, and then we scored before halftime
right. It was 3-1.
to make it 3-1, and then we were really, really pushing to get that second towards the end of the second half. And then, like when we didn't get that second at the end of the second half, I was like, okay, any chance of a comeback is done now because West Ham are going to go in. Moyes is going to drill them and tell them exactly what to do.
Hmm.
And it's we're
They're
gonna
gonna
have to
sit
take
back.
another 50 it's gonna take another 15-20 minutes for us to gain momentum, but like we literally picked up exactly where we left off in that second half.
Right. You're peppering
And
them.
man, Martin Odegaard,
I
man,
was gonna just
what
mention him.
a
What a
performance,
performance!
man.
Yeah, what a
That guy,
performance.
when you talk about grabbing a game by the scruff of the neck, like watch Odegaard's highlights to like see what
Hmm.
that means in that second half,
Hmm.
because it's really easy to do that kind of stuff when your team's 3-0 up and everyone's playing well and the confidence is high. But when you're 3-1 down, 3-0 down,
Hmm.
to get the ball, to demand the ball and like drive
Non-stop. He
forward
was
with it
non-stop on it. Yeah.
and pick out the passes he did, even his closing down. I mean, like we need to sign this guy up, man, because like he is. I
Do you
feel
think
like
he's your answer? Like, have you seen enough? See, I haven't seen enough of him yet. I've only seen him in a couple of games. Based on the West Ham game, he could be your answer to the number 10 position. But are you convinced that he's your answer to the number 10 position?
definitely. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's
Hmm.
only gonna get better. And like honestly, like these types of players thrive at Arsenal. Like these
Hmm.
types of
Hmm.
players,
Hmm.
like these playmakers who move the ball. Like Ozil. I mean, he came in and he felt the love
Hmm.
immediately at Arsenal. And he killed it in his first year and a half. Santi,
Hmm.
Rosicki. I mean, all these technically gifted players. They really
They
suit
do
our style
well.
of play. And he's exactly what we need. I mean, the only difference between him and Ozil is the size of the accent on the O. That's the only difference, man,
Really, you
because
think
these two
so?
and the closing down, obviously. And
The work ethic, maybe.
what I like about Odegaard is I feel like in big games he's not going to go missing like us. I mean, against like teams in the bottom half of the table, there's no one I'd rather have about like rather than Mesut. I mean, he's obviously poetry in motion, and like
Hmm.
against when you give him time on the ball, but Odegaard like is he can play when he doesn't have time on the ball. He knows how to put himself about. And he's
Hmm.
physically a lot
And
stronger than
3 nil
people think
down,
he
like,
is.
I don't know, Ozil, what I think Ozil's character as well, like
That's
3 nil
exactly
down.
what
I don't know
Ozil
how
was
often,
criticized for. He
like,
didn't
does
grab the
he
game
do
by the
it?
scruff of the neck. And I mean Odegaard, I mean he was like for me one of the best players on the pitch in the North London derby. Like I mean a big game
Right.
player. I mean Ozil would do it against the small teams, but this guy's gonna do it against all teams. And we really,
Hmm.
really need to sign him up, man. Like get this guy on like a permanent deal.
Yeah,
Like
let's see if you're bored. Now, this always comes back to the board, I think, for United and Arsenal, and like the reason why we've fallen so far, right? Let's see if they cough up the money, man. Like they should. They should already be talking to Real Madrid.
yeah,
Arteta should be, knocking on the director's door and saying, "Listen, call up Madrid and make this deal happen prior to the end of the year." But
exactly. And I mean, and I feel like he'll develop a lot better at Arsenal than he would at Madrid, honestly. I feel like
he'll
right
get
now
more playing time,
they're
less pressure, also right now at Arsenal.
yeah,
Like,
and also where our style of football, honestly, right now is a little more free flowing than the way Real play. Like, I
hmm.
honestly feel that, like, I mean, obviously we're not anywhere, even though they're not at the levels they were, we're not at their level right now either. But
Hmm.
our style of football is just a bit more free flowing, and it just suits him a bit more. And I feel like with other young players around him, he can thrive. And also special shout out to fucking Callum Chambers, man. Like
Yeah,
he
what a
was like,
performance at right back.
yeah,
In fact,
I
like the
was
first time he's done well at right back, he plays, he's a centre back by, by
Yeah, but
trade.
I
But
mean,
is he
when you've been having all these issues with Bellerin, I mean, Cedric's come in and done really well, but
well?
like I
Yeah.
don't think he's put in a single good performance the way Chambers did. Like, I mean, his crosses
Mhm.
were on point. I mean, I'm not saying he's a long-term solution, but you got to give him credit where it's due. But like I mean, overall, in terms of where we stand, it's we have to be
Before
more
we
consistent.
before we talk about that though, we got to touch on one guy, Aubameyang, dude. Like, what a terrible performance again. So what's going on with him? Like, he's your best player. I think he's just not been in form at all season. Like, it's what is he? What's going on? He was
Yeah, I
Lacazette
mean,
stepped
so
up, Odegaard stepped up. Chambers did well. Like, these players wanted to
So,
win that game.
in between, I think, like I think we can Oba's whole season for his standards has been a write-off. I mean, but in between his erratic moments and everything, there's been moments where like he has shown like quality finishing in positions where like he's the only guy who would finish those types of chances. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So in those situations, I still feel like I would still want him on the end of the chance rather than Lacazette because he's more clinical. But like he's always had this issue, man. Like when he's not, he's the type of guy who doesn't really get involved in the overall play of the game. He's not like always. He's kind of on the periphery of the game, but then he drifts in and he's bang bang and he's won you the game with two
Right,
goals.
right,
So
exactly.
we're kind of missing that from him right now. And
Maybe
also
that'll
like I
come with
just
confidence.
yeah, and also I just feel like I mean, yeah, when he's got his back to goal, he's awful. I mean, Lacazette's hold up plays way better, but we're not playing to his strengths particularly right now. But no excuses. I mean, he looks disinterested.
He looks disinterested. I think it's just more about his attitude than anything else. Like, he just doesn't seem on
No,
it anymore.
I don't think his. I think his confidence, man. I don't think. I mean, I follow all these guys on Instagram, and he trains hard. Like from what everyone sees, I mean, there's no rift between him and any players. Like he's still working his socks off. Arteta is not going to pick players in the lineup if he doesn't think they're working hard. After the shocker Aubameyang had against Olympiacos, I was surprised to see him in the starting 11. But he obviously has been doing something right in training to show Arteta.
Right.
So, um, so that's definitely like it's definitely a confidence thing with Aubameyang, man. Like he needs to just get a few goals consistently. He's never had a season like this in his life in the last few years, man. Like, so
Right,
he
right,
must be
right,
more torn than anyone. Like other players, they are form-based players. Aubameyang's always been on point.
right. So, what do you think about Arsenal's season overall now? Like, what do you think? Where do you stand on Arteta? And I think the Premier League is a write-off. It has been for many months, right? And I do think you guys need to put in enough effort to try to finish a little bit higher, like 10th and ninth and stuff. It's just like you got to try to. You can't
Unacceptable.
just. It's just
Yeah, and
unacceptable,
also
dude. So.
it's not even about the like what position we finish in the league. It's about seeing progression on the pitch. I mean, like I don't want to see three good performances and then two sloppy performances. I mean, that's not consistency for me.
Hmm.
Like they have to be. I mean, I know that you're gonna have like you can't play at a certain level every single game, but like you can't have games where like you're 3-0 down at halftime to West Ham. It's just not
Right,
that's
it's just
unacceptable. Like
ridiculous, but that's what you
and
come to
and it
expect
comes
from
by too
Arsenal.
often and like either if we're having a shitty defensive day and like on another day it'll just be like a really drab attacking performance where
Hmm.
there's just nothing going forward so that he has to find more consistency. I mean, this is a team that should be winning 3 out of 4 games in my
Right.
opinion. I mean, they're quality players. We should be definitely competing for the top 4. We should be
I
100%
would
in the
say
mix
top
for the top.
six because
No,
just saying
next
next season,
season
if
I
you
think.
sign the players though, you have to sign more players, man.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, if we tie Odegaard down, I personally think that we have a
because
better
look at
squad on
the
paper than
Chelsea,
Chelsea.
right? You think so? I don't know about that, man. I guess that's a conversation for another day. But I think look at Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United. I think these four teams have better squads than Arsenal. Then I would say it's Arsenal and Tottenham. That's how squads. I'm not talking about starting 11. Starting 11
I
is
mean,
very
see,
different.
it.
Then you
I
can
mean,
bring in Leicester and
at
Everton.
the beginning of the season, you were probably saying Tottenham had one of the best squads. It's just that they've been
100%, bro.
underperforming. Yeah. So
I think
what's
that's
changed?
Jose.
Nothing's changed. It's the same squad. So
Right. It's
suddenly you're
just
saying that.
Jose.
Exactly. So you're talking about the same players, though. You said the squad. So with Arsenal as well, I mean, like it's the same squad. I mean, a few additions. I mean, Thomas Partey has been in and out of the team the whole season. We haven't seen him consistently. I'm
Mhm.
talking about a full 11. I mean, I feel like we get another centre midfielder. We tie down Odegaard. I mean, I think we're on par with United and Chelsea on paper for me.
Mhm.
Definitely. I mean, and Arteta can find that
Maybe a center
consistency, but
back.
like where we stand. he has to find more consistency next season. I mean, I guess, I mean, he is going to be there next season. I mean, I've accepted it. I mean, I'm not like against him in any way, because I have seen improvements and I have
Hmm.
seen like our levels pick up, but it's still nowhere near good enough in terms of the consistency. And it all falls in the Europa League, man. Like we've
Right,
got a
that's what I
clear
was going to
path.
bring up. Do you think, so just to finish this
Slavia
off
Prague
real
in
quick,
the
do
in the semifinals.
you, right,
Sorry, in the quarterfinals,
quarters,
and
that
then
should be easy, man. Like if you compare just the
yeah.
squads, you see no games after the quarters, semis, and in the quarters, semis, and stuff. Any European Cup, right? It's not going to be easy. Never is. But
But
if you
this is
compare the
easy.
squads, if you compare the
This is
teams,
easy.
you gotta go through. Like it's same thing
No,
goes for
so
us.
if the tie isn't done after the first leg at the Emirates, I will be livid. We need to win
Hmm,
that game by minimum 3 goals and just
hmm.
put that game
Two,
to
three
bed in the
goals.
first
Yeah.
leg, take no chances, and just,
Hmm,
I mean, put out like show your state, like show, like put out a statement of intent to like the rest of the teams in the Europa League that you're not fucking around here.
hmm, hmm.
Hopefully, then a reunion with Unai Emery in the
That'll
semi-finals,
be
which
a
will be
tougher
pretty
game. Yeah, that'll
much
be tough.
tougher.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, we have a
On
much
paper,
bigger club than
far,
Villarreal,
far
far
better
better
squad,
team.
far
La
better
Liga's a
team.
mess. La Liga's in a mess right now.
Right, exactly.
So we have a clear path to the final. I mean, the minimum expectation from Arteta is to get to that Europa League final. Anything less,
Is not
um,
acceptable. Yeah.
and yeah, and then the only thing I will accept is if we play really well in the final and still lose, and like if we put in a shocking performance like we did, like under Emery in that Europa League
Against
final.
Chelsea 4-1. Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
acceptable. Like,
then
how do you not have the players
one
up for
that
it?
one game is going to make me want to be Arteta out, because you have to get your players up for that. It's your only
He
trophy. So
he's put himself in this situation. Like Arsenal have been terrible in all competitions. If you were fifth in the league and he reached the Europa League final, maybe, or fourth in the league, you would have accepted it and not win the
100%
final.
fourth in the league,
Fourth,
fourth in
fifth,
the league. I would
yeah,
accept that without a
without
trophy.
anything, right? Now the
Yeah,
thing is though, with ninth in the league and not to
no
win,
FA Cup,
no FA Cup,
which he
not
threw away,
which he threw
which he
away.
single-handedly
He's
threw away.
essentially put all his eggs in the Europa League basket, and we'll see where it goes for him.
Yeah,
But anyways, man,
fingers crossed.
good chatting with you, and let's see where we're at in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Peace.